I used to think I had found the one. Jessica was 31, sharp as a tack, working in marketing with this drive that honestly inspired me. We had been together for 2 years, and everything felt right, until her sister needed a favor. What started as helping out for one afternoon turned into giving up every single weekend. I did not realize I was being tested, and when I finally said no, everything fell apart. Before we dive into what happened, I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your city or country in the comments below. And if you are enjoying this story, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because what happened next taught me the hardest lesson about knowing when to walk away. Let me tell you how it all went down. Jessica and I met at a coffee shop in Portland 2 years before all of this happened. She was reading a marketing book, I was debugging code on my laptop, and somehow we started talking. The conversation flowed so easily that I forgot about my deadline. She was smart, ambitious, and she cared deeply about her family. That last part seemed like a green flag at the time. I work as a software engineer, and my life was pretty balanced back then. I would put in my 40 hours during the week, and weekends were mine. I played guitar in a band, trained for marathons, hung out with my best friend Marcus. Life was good. Jessica's sister Amanda was 35 and had gone through a rough divorce the year before. She was raising 3 kids on her own: Jaden, who was 7, Aiden, who was 5, and little Maddie, who had just turned 3. Amanda worked as a nurse, and her shifts were all over the place. Jessica talked about her sister, constantly always worried about how hard things were for her. I understood that. Family is important. What I did not understand yet was how much that would end up costing me. Let me tell you about those kids. Jaden had this habit of screaming at the top of his lungs whenever he did not get his way. He would break his siblings' toys just because he felt like it, and he refused to listen to anyone. Aiden was the type who would throw food across the room, draw on walls with permanent markers, and run away laughing when you tried to stop him. Maddie cried nonstop. Not the normal crying that toddlers do, but this high-pitched wailing that could shatter glass. She demanded attention every single second, and if you looked away for even a moment, the screaming would start again. One Friday evening, Jessica called me while I was finishing up work. Her voice had that tone, the one where she was about to ask for something. "Can you help me watch Amanda's kids tomorrow? Just for a few hours." Amanda had picked up an emergency shift at the hospital, and her regular babysitter had canceled last minute. I thought about my plans for Saturday. I was supposed to meet Marcus for lunch and then hit the gym. But Jessica sounded stressed, and I wanted to help. "Sure," I said. "Just for a few hours." That Saturday afternoon at Amanda's house changed everything. I showed up at 10 in the morning thinking I would be there until maybe 2 or 3. The house was already chaotic when I walked in. Jaden was glued to the television playing video games. Aiden was building something with blocks, just so he could knock them down with a baseball bat, and Maddie was crying because she wanted her mother. Amanda barely looked at me as she rushed out the door. "Thanks for doing this. There is food in the fridge." Then she was gone. Lunchtime rolled around, and Jaden announced he wanted pizza. Fine, I thought. Pizza is easy. I pulled out my phone and asked what kind he wanted. "Pepperoni," he said. So I ordered a large pepperoni pizza. 30 minutes later, when it arrived, Jaden took one look at it and announced he did not want pizza anymore. He wanted chicken nuggets. Aiden saw the pizza and immediately grabbed a slice, but instead of eating it, he smeared it all over the leather couch. Maddie was still crying, and when I tried to pick her up to comfort her, she screamed even louder and pushed me away. I spent the next hour trying to clean melted cheese off the couch while simultaneously keeping Aiden from pouring juice all over the carpet and attempting to calm Maddie down. Jaden ignored everything I said. When I told him to turn off the video games so we could do something together, he looked right at me and turned the volume up louder. By the time Amanda got home at 6 in the evening, I was exhausted. The house looked like a tornado had hit it. She walked in, surveyed the damage, and her first words were not "thank you." They were, "Why is there pizza stuck to my couch?" Jessica picked me up 20 minutes later. I collapsed into the passenger seat, and she asked how it went. I told her it was rough, but I tried to keep it light. She smiled and said, "They are just kids. They will warm up to you." I nodded, thinking to myself, well, at least that is over. I had no idea it was just the beginning. The following Tuesday, Jessica brought it up again. "Amanda needs help this Saturday, too." I hesitated. My band had practice scheduled, and we were working on new material for an upcoming gig. But Jessica's expression was so hopeful, so pleading. She really has no one else, Dante. Please. I gave in. What was one more weekend this time was worse. Jaden had apparently decided he hated me. When I tried to talk to him, he turned his back. When I suggested we go outside and throw a football around, he said I was boring and went back to his video games. Aiden was in pure chaos mode. He found a vase on a shelf, picked it up, looked directly at me, and dropped it on the floor. It shattered into 100 pieces. Then he laughed. Maddie spent the entire afternoon either crying or clinging to my leg, making it impossible to walk. At one point, Aiden bit his little sister because she took a toy he was not even playing with. I had to separate them, clean up her tears, and then spend 30 minutes picking up shards of broken glass while making sure nobody stepped on anything. When Amanda came home that evening, she looked around and sighed. "Did you even try to keep them entertained?" I wanted to tell her that I had tried everything, but I was too tired to argue. Jessica drove me home again, and I thought that was it. But on Tuesday of the next week, Jessica dropped a bomb. "Amanda asked if you can help every weekend." I stared at her. Every weekend, that was a huge commitment. "That is a lot, Jess," I said carefully. Her face changed. "My sister is struggling. I thought you cared about my family." That sentence hit me harder than it should have. Of course I cared, but this was not just about caring. This was about my entire life getting consumed by someone else's chaos. Still, the guilt worked. I agreed to try it for a month. Just 1 month, I told myself. Those weekends became a nightmare. I would show up at Amanda's house at 9 in the morning and stay until 5 in the evening. 8 solid hours of pure chaos. I had to cancel band practice every single week. My bandmates were understanding at first, but after a month, they started getting frustrated. We had been playing together for 3 years, and suddenly I was never there. I also had to stop training for the Portland Marathon. I had signed up months earlier, paid the registration fee, and was really looking forward to it. But there was no time to run anymore. My Saturdays and Sundays were gone. Marcus called me one evening after I had bailed on him for the 3rd weekend in a row. "Dude, what is going on?" "You have disappeared." I explained the situation, and he was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Man, that does not sound fair. You are giving up everything." I brushed it off. Jessica needed me. Her family needed me. It was the right thing to do. But deep down, I was starting to feel resentful. The kids did not get any better. Jaden discovered a new hobby, playing violent video games that were completely inappropriate for a 7-year-old. When I tried to turn them off, he would scream and throw the controller. One time he threw it so hard it left a dent in the wall. Aiden's favorite game was throwing toys at my face. I am not exaggerating. He would wait until I was not looking, pick up a hard plastic toy, and hurl it at me. I ended up with bruises on my arms and a nasty bump on my forehead. Maddie's tantrums reached new levels. She would scream for candy, and when I said no, she would throw herself on the floor and wail for an hour straight. Giving in only made it worse the next time. Amanda never thanked me properly. She would come home, glance at the mess, and make some passive-aggressive comment. "Why did you not give them a bath?" or "The kitchen is still dirty." I would bite my tongue and leave. Jessica always had an excuse ready. "She is just stressed. Do not take it personally." But it felt personal. I was spending 16 hours every weekend taking care of her nieces and nephews, sacrificing my hobbies, my friends, my sanity, and I was getting nothing but criticism in return. One Wednesday evening, I tried to have a serious conversation with Jessica. We were sitting on her couch, and I took a deep breath. "I feel like I am giving up my whole weekend every single week." She looked at me like I had said something offensive. "It is only a few hours," she said. "A few hours. I was there for 8 hours each day, 2 days a week. That was not a few hours. That was half my weekend." "Your sister needs support," she continued. "This is what families do." But I was not part of her family. Not officially. We were dating, sure, but this felt like I was being treated as free labor rather than a partner. I started noticing other things, too. Jessica would cancel our date nights to have dinner with Amanda. She barely asked about my work anymore. When I got promoted to senior engineer, something I had been working toward for 2 years, her response was, "That is great, babe." And then she immediately started talking about Amanda's problems again. It felt like I was not a priority. I was just a tool to help her family. Then came the weekend that broke everything. It was a Saturday morning, and Jaden greeted me by saying, You are not my dad. You cannot tell me what to do. Fair enough, I thought. But I was the adult in charge, and he needed to follow basic rules. He ignored me completely. Aiden found a pair of scissors in a drawer, and before I could stop him, he walked up to Maddie and cut a chunk of her hair off. She screamed bloody murder. I panicked. Her hair was uneven and jagged, and I knew Amanda was going to lose it. I grabbed all 3 kids, loaded them into my car, and drove to an emergency salon. The stylist did her best to fix it, but there was only so much she could do with a 3-year-old who would not sit still. When Amanda got home and saw Maddie's hair, she exploded. "How could you let that happen?" I tried to explain, but she did not want to hear it. Jessica was there too, and I expected her to defend me. Instead, she sided with her sister. "You should have watched them closer, Dante." That stung more than anything Amanda had said. I left that night feeling completely defeated. I was not appreciated. I was not respected. I was just expected to keep showing up and taking whatever they threw at me. The next Tuesday, everything came to a head. Marcus called me out of the blue. "Dude, I have 2 tickets to see the National. They are playing this Saturday night. We have been waiting 3 years for them to come back to Portland. You have to come." The National was our favorite band. Marcus and I had bonded over their music back in college, and we had missed their last tour because of work conflicts. This was a big deal. I felt a surge of excitement for the first time in months. "I am in," I told him, without hesitation. Wednesday night, I told Jessica. We were at her apartment, and I was feeling good about finally doing something for myself. "I cannot babysit this Saturday. I already have plans." She looked up from her phone, surprised. "What plans?" I explained about the concert. Her face changed immediately. "That is not important. Amanda needs you." Not important. This was something I had been looking forward to for years. "Jess, I have been doing this every single weekend for 4 months. I need a break." Her eyes narrowed. "So you are just going to abandon my sister?" The word abandon hit me like a slap. I was not abandoning anyone. I was asking for 1 weekend. 1. I am not abandoning anyone. I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I am asking for 1 weekend off." She crossed her arms. "If you cannot be there for my family, what is the point of this relationship?" That question hung in the air between us. I stared at her, realizing she was serious. She was actually questioning our entire relationship because I wanted to go to a concert. Then she did something that made my blood boil. She pulled out her phone and called Amanda right there in front of me. She put it on speaker. "Amanda, Dante says he cannot watch the kids this Saturday because he has concert tickets." I heard Amanda's voice shrill and angry. "Are you kidding me? I knew he was unreliable. I have been counting on him." Jessica nodded along, agreeing with every word her sister said. They talked about me like I was not even in the room. When she hung up, Jessica turned to me with this cold expression I had never seen before. "My family comes first, always. If you cannot step up and be part of this family, then maybe you should get out." The words echoed in my head. Step up or get out. I felt a strange sense of clarity wash over me. This was not about 1 weekend. This was about the fact that Jessica did not respect me. She saw me as a tool, a resource to be used whenever her sister needed help. I was not her partner. I was her sister's free babysitter. I stood up. "You are right. I should get out." Her face went from angry to shocked in an instant. "Wait, what, you are breaking up with me over 1 weekend?" I shook my head. "No, I am breaking up with you because you do not respect me or my time. You and your sister have been using me for months, and I am done." I walked to her bedroom and started gathering my things. I had a few shirts there, a toothbrush, some books. Jessica followed me, and now she was panicking. "I did not mean it like that. We can talk about this." But there was nothing to talk about. I had given her and her sister 4 months of my life. I had sacrificed my hobbies, my friendships, my peace of mind. And the moment I asked for 1 single weekend off, I was told to get out. So I was getting out. I packed everything into a bag, walked past Jessica without looking at her, and left. She called after me, but I did not turn around. That night, she texted me a dozen times. Each message was angrier than the last. "You are abandoning me when I need you most. I cannot believe you are this selfish. Amanda was right about you." I read them all, felt nothing, and then blocked her number. I blocked her on every social media platform. I was done. The next day, Marcus and I went to that concert. Standing there listening to music I loved, surrounded by people who were just there to have a good time, I felt something I had not felt in months. Freedom. I was free. No more screaming kids, no more guilt trips. No more giving up my entire life for people who did not even appreciate it. Marcus looked over at me during one of the songs and grinned. "Welcome back, man." I grinned back. It felt good to be back. The first 2 weeks after the breakup were strange. I kept expecting to feel sad or regretful, but I did not. Instead, I felt lighter. I started going to band practice again, and my bandmates were thrilled. We had a gig coming up at a local bar, and we threw ourselves into rehearsals. I picked up my marathon training running every morning before work. The Portland Marathon was only 2 months away, and I was determined to be ready. I spent weekends with Marcus going on hikes, checking out new breweries, hosting game nights with our friends. My life was mine again. At work, something shifted too. Without the constant exhaustion from babysitting, I was sharper, more focused. I started coming in early, staying late when I needed to, and really diving into projects. My boss noticed. 2 months after the breakup, he called me into his office and told me I was being promoted to senior engineer. It came with a significant raise and more responsibility. I was over the moon. This was something I had been working toward for years, and now it was finally happening. I even started dating again. Nothing serious, just casual coffee dates here and there. It was nice to meet new people without the weight of someone else's expectations hanging over me. I was not looking for anything serious yet, but it felt good to put myself out there. Then, 6 weeks after the breakup, Marcus ran into Jessica at the grocery store. He told me about it the next day when we met for lunch. "Dude, she looked rough," he said, shaking his head. "Like she had not slept in weeks." Apparently, Jessica had stopped him in the produce aisle and asked how I was doing. Marcus kept it short, said I was doing great, and tried to leave. But Jessica kept talking. "Things have been really hard without him," she admitted. Marcus told me he just nodded and got out of there as fast as he could. But he did not stop there. He ran into Amanda a week later at a coffee shop. She recognized him from a party Jessica had thrown a year ago. Amanda looked even worse than Jessica. She was stressed, frantic, and when Marcus mentioned he knew me, she actually vented to him. She had been through 3 different babysitters since I left. The first one quit after 1 weekend unable to handle the kids. The second one charged $50 an hour, which Amanda could not afford on a nurse's salary. The third one just let the kids watch television all day and did not lift a finger to help with anything else. Amanda had been forced to call in sick to work multiple times, and her supervisor had given her a warning. One more missed shift, and she would be in serious trouble. Marcus relayed all of this to me, and I felt a strange mix of emotions. Part of me felt vindicated. I had been doing so much more than just watching those kids. I cleaned the house, cooked meals for them, drove them places, even helped Amanda with her grocery shopping on occasion. I never complained about the 45-minute drive each way or the gas money I spent. I had been patient and caring even when those kids treated me terribly, and Jessica and Amanda had taken all of that for granted. But I did not feel bitter. I just felt relieved that it was not my problem anymore. Marcus looked at me across the table and said, "Do you think she realizes what she lost?" I shrugged. "Probably. But it does not matter now." 2 months after the breakup, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I opened it, and my stomach dropped when I saw who it was. Jessica had gotten a new number just to reach me. The message said, "I have been thinking a lot. I was wrong. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen for a long time. Part of me wanted to ignore it completely. But another part of me, the part that had spent 2 years with this person, felt like I owed her at least a response. I did not reply that night. I thought about it, slept on it, and the next morning I sent a short message back. "I appreciate the apology, but I have moved on. What happened showed me we were not compatible. I hope you and Amanda find the help you need. Take care." I kept it polite but firm. There was no anger in my words, just honesty. Jessica did not give up. A few days later, I received a long email. She went into detail about how sorry she was, how she had been overwhelmed, and did not realize how much she was asking of me. She promised things would be different if I gave her another chance. She said she missed me. I read the entire email, and then I closed it without responding. There was nothing left to say. Marcus asked me later if I regretted walking away. I did not even have to think about it. "Not even for a second," I told him. Looking back now, I understand what that whole experience taught me. It taught me about boundaries. For 4 months, I let someone push me further and further beyond what I was comfortable with, and I did it because I thought that was what love required. But real love does not demand that you give up everything. Real love respects your time, your energy, and your needs. Jessica never respected any of that. She saw my willingness to help as something she could exploit, and when I finally stood up for myself, she tried to make me feel guilty for it. I also learned how to recognize when I am being taken advantage of. The signs were there from the beginning. Amanda never thanked me properly. Jessica dismissed my concerns every time I brought them up. The kids treated me like garbage, and nobody corrected their behavior. I was giving everything and receiving nothing in return. It took me 4 months to see it clearly, but once I did, the decision to leave was easy. Most importantly, I learned the value of self-respect. Walking away from Jessica was hard. I had invested 2 years into that relationship, but staying would have been harder. It would have meant continuing to sacrifice my happiness, my hobbies, my friendships, all for people who did not appreciate it. I deserved better than that. Everyone deserves better than that. I am not angry at Jessica or Amanda anymore. I do not carry any resentment. They were dealing with a difficult situation, and they handled it poorly. That is on them. But I made my choice, and I stand by it. Sometimes the hardest thing to do is walk away from someone you love. But sometimes it is also the only thing that will save you. And looking back now, getting out was the best decision I ever made. So let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a situation where you felt taken for granted? Maybe it was a relationship, a friendship, or even a job. How did you handle it? Did you stay and try to make it work, or did you walk away? Drop your answer in the comments below. I would love to hear your stories. And if this story resonated with you, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who might need to hear it. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you find the courage to put yourself first when it matters most. Take care of yourselves out there.